things will never be the same. Because the hierarchy of power in the DC universe is about to change. There's no one on this planet that can stop me.
Oh man, well, I really hope you guys all enjoyed that little snippet that I put there at the beginning of the video. So, we have finally reached the point in our lives where, yes, this movie has in fact released to the public of the world for all our viewing pleasures. I got a chance to see Black Adam the other night in an IMAX theater, and I have quite a lot of thoughts on this film as a whole. This was the first movie that I had seen in quite a while, and probably a few months, probably since around August in theaters. So, I mean, hey, if there was any better movie to come back to the theaters for after a little break, I mean, I think it would be this one for sure. I do want to start off with the stuff that I did like about the movie because there is a lot that I have to say in regards to this. So, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, the main man himself as the character of Black Adam, is fantastic. Black Adam in this movie has been arisen from a prison of sorts that he was put through almost 5,000 years ago in his time, and is now back seeking revenge for those who put him there, along with also a slew of new characters that he comes up against in this film in the modern time. The Rock has been trying to get this movie off the ground for so long now, and I think you can definitely tell that he's put the energy and time into this film and loves playing the character of Black Adam. And overall, I don't think he's the only one who came off that way when watching this movie. Those characters that I mentioned earlier that he comes up against in the modern time, comprised of what is known as the Justice Society of America, are all good in this movie. Aldous Hodge as the leader Hawkman is really good in the film. Hodge is a fantastic actor who I only just saw for the first time in The Invisible Man a few years ago. Backing him up as like a second-hand man of sorts in this film is Pierce Brosnan as the character of Dr. Fate, who in some cases gets maybe the best scenes from an emotional perspective and a deep character dive in his background. I loved every second that he was on screen, and of course, Pierce Brosnan is a fantastic actor. The last two to round out the group, who in their own way kind of feel like a team of their own, are Noah Centineo as Atom Smasher and Quintessa Swindell as Cyclone. I think these two have a really, really good charisma and chemistry with each other, especially from the first second that they are on screen. And as a bit of truth to give you all, I've actually never seen either of these two in anything, so it was actually a bit of fun getting to see these two on screen for the first time in a film like this. While I wish that their characters got a little bit more screen time and development, I do think for what we did get, they were fantastic overall. Now, of course, the bread and butter of this film is exactly where you expect it to be, and that is, of course, with the action scenes, of which there are plenty to go about in this movie. And yes, when the killing starts, the killing doesn't end, especially from Black Adam, who absolutely eviscerates all of his enemies. And funny enough, even before the movie came out, they admitted that it would potentially have been rated R, and I can see why. For a PG-13 superhero movie, this is definitely a very violent film, and overall, I thought the action scenes, especially when superheroes are fighting each other, was very well shot. Special effects and the CGI for about 90% of this film are all very well done. And I think overall, from a technical standpoint, there was a lot of other great stuff, from the musical score to even the sound editing and mixing. Now, that being said, since we are talking about technical stuff, I do want to get to some of the things that I thought this film was very lacking in. And before we start, I want to make it abundantly clear, as somebody who would love to work in the film industry one day, none of my comments right now in any way should reflect on any of the people and their personalities themselves who actually did the work to get this film out. These are simply things that I just noticed that I felt could have been improved upon. So starting off with some technical things, I think the editing here in this film is very rough at times. Mainly, a lot of this does come from very quick cuts to some choppy scenes of dialogue exchange that don't quite add up to what you are seeing on screen. And speaking on that dialogue, boy, is it very cheesy and just not all there. Of course, we can attribute this to certain parts of the script and the writing, but I do think some of it does come from how certain actors were directed. Jaume Collet-Serra is the director of this film, and I actually have seen a few of his movies, such as Non-Stop with Liam Neeson, Run All Night also with Liam Neeson, and even a film like The Shallows with Blake Lively about a shark attack. Very simple films that I honestly very much enjoyed and feel like good movies to have on in the background when you are doing stuff. However, I will say for this movie, I do think he had some missteps, particularly when it came to directing certain actors. There is a kid in the film who I will not put any judgment forth, as I do not know what the reason was for why, but his dialogue was just not good, and every time he was on screen, I felt like it was hindering the film. Again, I cannot say if that is because it's the acting or if that's just because of the way that he was being directed. We've seen it done many of times. The most famous example for a lot of people was when George Lucas directed his actors in the prequel trilogy. There are also a few other side characters where I felt like that had a little bit to it as well, even though those characters I feel weren't a big hindrance. And to kind of put a button on this topic, I do think there were some scenes where he could have done a better job at making sure the scenes themselves felt like a little bit more natural with interaction between the characters. Also, I will say, as somebody who has a keen eye towards looking at people's mouths when they speak, the ADR in this movie is not very good and is very noticeable throughout. And even with all that, I do think the movie is paced well for a 2-hour film. I think the only time this movie struggled to really bring me in was the first 15 or so minutes. But after that, once the movie starts to get going and it becomes an action-packed non-stop film, like I said, you are just stuffing your face full of popcorn and going along for the ride. This really is a film that you should just have fun with and nothing more, which ultimately explains why the critics don't like it that much and audiences are more to liking it. There is also a quote-unquote villain in this movie, and the reason I use quotes to say that is because of the fact that it wasn't really teed up a whole lot throughout the film. They did set it up to potentially happen, but when it does show up, it does kind of come out of nowhere, and the fight was very entertaining regardless of that fact. And of course, to top off this video, there's no shot I can't talk about it because at the end of the day, this is probably the main reason for some people why they are going to see the film. So this is going to be a spoiler for the post-credit scene if you have not seen the film or if you don't care enough and just want to hear me talk about it. So yes, The Rock did in fact do it. He brought back my man Henry Cavill as the character of Superman. As soon as we heard that it was possible and that The Rock himself was really marketing himself in interviews to give hints of what was to come, I had a good feeling we were in for a treat. And boy, did we get that treat, because this scene is awesome and I loved every second of it. There is no chance that we do not see these two fight each other in a movie in the future at some point. But with this post-credit scene also confirms is that Henry Cavill is officially back playing this character and that he will eventually be getting a sequel to Man of Steel, like I teased in the beginning of my video with that snippet. Thank you, Dwayne Johnson. You have officially changed the course of the DC Universe for the future. Overall, though, those are my thoughts in this video essay/review of Black Adam. If you are somebody who wants to go and have a good time with this film and stuff your face full of popcorn, this is the movie to see. And if you are as excited as I am for the future of DC now that Henry Cavill is back, I want you to drop a like down below on this video and comment what your thoughts are on the film and the post-credit scene. Hit that subscribe button if you are new to the channel and if you want to see more. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your weekend, and I will see you in the next one.